see, it was a very quick night. Anderson Silva was able to absorb every punch that Tito threw. He was able to move, slip and slide, catch him and rip him, catch him on the shot on the shoulders. He kept his hands up. His head movement was looking beautiful. His footwork was looking beautiful. He was being really patient, and basically catching and shooting, counter punching. Uh, you know, Catching and shooting the shots, and every time Tito would throw, he would catch him on the gloves, and then he would counter and throw. So that's the pull counter. His pull counter is beautiful. His head movement is beautiful. The commentators even said that he doesn't like to do head movement in MMA because you can get hit with a knee or a kick. So in boxing, I mean, if Anderson Silva had chosen to be a boxer early on in his career, oh my God, he would probably be a champion in boxing because his boxing is absolutely superb. It's amazing. And, Tito got knocked the fuck out first round. Very good performance. Tito did nothing. I mean, he kind of showed his age here. Got knocked out through the ropes. Referee stopped it straight away. Good stoppage. The man was out. What's next for Anderson Silva? This was an easy night, easy fight. First round knockout. I think the Jake Paul fight makes sense now. I don't actually no, I don't think that makes sense. I know people are gonna be calling for Jake Paul fight because they want to see Jake Paul get knocked out. Anderson Silva is 46 or 47 years old right now, so he's old, but he's actually still here. He's still competing with these guys. Tito was definitely not here to win. The guy came for a paycheck. He didn't really come to win. He just got fucking knocked the fuck out through the ropes, as you guys can see right here. And it was a very beautiful pull counter. That's what got him, And then the referee stops the fight, which is a good stoppage. The man would have been, if he let it continue, the man would have been, really, really hurt. Even more, probably got hurt really badly here too. When you get knocked out, your brain takes a lot of damage. Tito's been in a lot of wars. I think he just did this for a paycheck, And I like to see Anderson getting out there and getting some wins, In MMA, the man was getting destroyed left and right. He was fighting these killers like Jared Cannonier, Anderson Silva, and no, not Anderson Silva, but yeah, Anderson Silva. But he was fighting Israel Adesanya, Jared Cannonier, who else? Uriah Hall. Like, these guys are top 10 contenders. You shouldn't be fighting these young and up and coming fighters. Fighting these young guys, you're gonna get obliterated. So I think Anderson Silva should go the Triller route. Fight these guys that are old but not too old, same level as Anderson. Fighting Jake Paul right now would do a lot of things for his career. Knocking out Jake Paul would give him a nice paycheck, and it wouldn't really solidify anything because Jake Paul is a YouTuber fighting MMA fighters. And I don't think Jake Paul is gonna take that fight because Anderson Silva's the same weight as Jake Paul. He's probably a little bit bigger, and he's kind of rangy and tall. So I don't see Jake Paul taking that fight. That's a tough fight. It's not an easy fight. Anderson Silva is a very tough opponent for Jake Paul because Jake Paul's, a relative novice in the boxing game. He's not championship level. Well, Tommy Fury was also novice level too. He's just he's just a boxer, but he's not really that good of a boxer. So I think the Tommy Fury fight makes more sense than the Anderson Silva fight, purely because Anderson Silva's just on a different level. He's not fighting world champions, Anderson Silva. I'm talking about, because he can't. He's not on that level. He's gonna be fighting MMA fighters. I think Jake Paul, maybe a couple more fights, and I think he's ready to fight Anderson Silva. Maybe after he beats Tommy Fury or a couple more fights with other fighters, then he can fight Anderson Silva. But as of right now, I don't think the Anderson Silva fight would be such a good fight for Jake Paul. Just consider based on all the reasons I just mentioned. Man, he looked really great tonight. I'm so happy for him. I'm really happy to see him making money, and he just beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and now he just beat Tito Ortiz. You know, that's interesting. Who's he gonna fight next? You know, the people are calling for Jake Paul. You know, I think if there's enough interest and there's more interest, then Jake Paul would actually take that fight because he's a born entertainer, you know, and he wants the money fights. He wants the biggest money fights. So if the audience and the money is there, I could see Jake Paul taking that fight. Even though it would not be the best idea for him to take that fight, he might take that fight because he knows there's money behind it. Anderson Silva has a name. He has a legacy tied to his name. He's done a lot of things in the UFC, one of the greatest middleweights of all time. He destroyed Stephan Bonner, Forrest Griffin, the likes of who else did he knock out? He beat a lot of guys, and he beat Chael Sonnen too. So Anderson Silva is a man of respect. He's a man of integrity. You know, that's just what he exudes around him. He's very respectful to his opponents. He always says at the press conferences, "I'm not here to disrespect nobody," and and he says he's not here to talk. He likes to let his fists do the talking, but he understands that it's part of the game. So, you know, he's gonna play the game. You know, it's part of the game to talk at press conferences. But yeah, you know, very interesting fight for Anderson Silva. He was able to knock out this guy. I really, really, really like this knockout, and I have no sympathy for Tito Ortiz because of the way he knocked out Chuck Liddell. Chuck Liddell was not in any shape to fight. He wasn't supposed to fight. The commission was not supposed to sanction that fight. Oscar De La Hoya should have never made that fight. Chuck Liddell was out of his prime, so much out of his prime. He was geriatric. He didn't have it in him to fight, but he went in there to fight because he has an ego, and he has a big ego. He has a big ego. You know, that's the thing. Just like Evander Holyfield, another big ego. Pride. A lot of pride. You know, Chuck Liddell has a lot of pride. You know, he did beat Tito Ortiz twice before. I think he beat him once or twice. Yeah, he beat him before, so he's like, okay, maybe I can beat him again. And he went in there and he got knocked out. You know, sad to see, but it is what it is. But now, Anderson Silva got revenge for Chuck Liddell. Knocked out Tito Ortiz in the first round. Relatively short order. You know, Tito Ortiz is going to be very embarrassed from this knockout. You know, a lot of people were saying, poor Tito on Twitter. You know, what's his name? Demetrius Johnson. He said that on Twitter. But yeah, you know, people are calling for Jake Paul versus Anderson Silva. I don't see that fight happening. You know, that's kind of a stretch. But if there's enough interest, you know, I can see that fight happening. Yeah, Anderson Silva is looking very good over these years. You know, old man, still got it.